Ethan Hayes never went to the mall on weekends, but his laptop charger had died, and he needed a new one today. The moment he stepped into Westfield Grand Mall, the noise and crowds hit him like a wave. He checked his phone for the store's location, then walked straight into someone. A cup of iced coffee spilled. A designer shopping bag dropped. A furious voice snapped. "Seriously?" Ethan looked up and nearly forgot how to breathe. The girl was stunning, long, honey blonde hair, sharp eyeliner, flawless skin, and an expression that screamed, "I don't tolerate stupidity." She wore a fitted white sweater, black jeans, and heeled boots that clicked dramatically against the tile floor. Sorry, I wasn't looking," Ethan said. "No kidding," she snapped, snatching her bag. "Maybe try watching where you're going instead of texting your girlfriend." "I don't have a girlfriend," he replied. "Yeah, I can see why." She spun around and stormed off, hair swinging like a warning sign. Ethan should have forgotten her. He didn't. 2 days later, Ethan stopped by the grocery store near his apartment. As he grabbed a basket, he heard a voice arguing with the cashier. "You charged me twice for the same item. Check it again." He turned. It was her. Mall girl. Miss Rude and Beautiful. The cashier stuttered under her glare. Ethan stepped closer. "Hey, we met the other day." She turned, eyes widening for a millisecond before she rolled them dramatically. "Oh, great. You again." He smiled. "Nice to see you too." "It wasn't nice the first time. But it is now," he teased. She opened her mouth to argue, then closed it, annoyed that she didn't have a comeback. "What's your name?" he asked. "Why? So I know what to call you other than the angry girl with the latte." She gave him a look like she was debating kicking him.
Kara.
"Kara," he repeated.
I'm Ethan.
"Good for you," she muttered. But she didn't walk away. Kara Hartley didn't do kindness, didn't do trust, didn't do people. Her daily mood swung between "don't talk to me" and "I will stab you with my eyes." She had built walls so high no one bothered climbing them anymore. Which is why it bothered her that Ethan, smiling, annoyingly patient Ethan, wasn't scared of her. Most people backed off after one conversation. Ethan kept showing up. And worse, she didn't entirely hate it. At the coffee shop near her workplace, Kara stepped inside to order her daily iced caramel latte, her emotional support drink. The barista messed up her order, and before she could unleash her complaint, someone behind her spoke. "Let me guess. Iced latte with extra attitude?" She spun. "Ethan, you're stalking me." "It's a small city," he shrugged. "It's Los Angeles," she deadpanned. "Okay, fine. Total coincidence." She narrowed her eyes. "You're impossible." "Is that an insult or a compliment?" She sighed warily. "I haven't decided yet." But again, she didn't walk away. Ethan wasn't sure when curiosity turned into fascination. Kara wasn't nice, at least not at first glance. But the more he observed, the more cracks he saw in her armor. Sometimes she looked tired, sometimes scared, sometimes lonely. One evening, he found her sitting on a bench outside the mall, staring at nothing. "You okay?" he asked gently. "Why does everyone keep asking that?" she muttered. "Probably because you look like someone who carries too much on their shoulders." Kara's throat tightened. "You don't know me," she whispered. "You're right," he said softly. "But I want to." Something in her expression wavered. She didn't yell. She didn't insult him. She just let him sit beside her. Over the next few weeks, they ran into each other a little too often to be accidental. He teased her. She pretended to be annoyed. He made her laugh. She immediately tried to hide it. One afternoon, she texted him first. The next week, she let him walk her to her car. Then she started telling him things about her life. Small things, but enough to show she was lowering her guard. She never apologized for being rude. But she started saying thanks sometimes. For her, that was huge. One night, Ethan found Kara outside her apartment, sitting on the stairs, mascara smudged, hands shaking.
Kara.
He sat beside her. "What happened?" "My boss fired me," she whispered, "for something I didn't even do." Without thinking, Ethan pulled her into a gentle embrace. She stiffened, walls rising, then slowly melted against him. "Why are you being nice to me?" she murmured into his chest. "Because someone should be. I don't deserve it," she said weakly. "Yes," he whispered. "You do." Her breath hitched. That moment cracked her open in ways she wasn't ready for. Kara began to change. Not because Ethan asked her to, but because being around him made her want to let someone love her. She opened up about her childhood, her broken friendships, her fear of being abandoned. He listened. He comforted her. He didn't run. One evening, after walking her home, she whispered, "Thank you for not giving up on me." "And I won't," he said softly. Then she kissed him. Slow, hesitant, full of everything she didn't know how to say. Ethan knew right then he was gone, completely in love. But Kara's past wasn't done with her. Her ex-boyfriend, Liam, charming on the outside, manipulative underneath, suddenly reappeared. He wanted her back. He didn't like Ethan. He didn't like that Kara was changing. And he didn't like that she wasn't scared of him anymore. So he did the one thing that could shake her. He reminded her of everything she used to believe about herself, that she was unlovable, difficult, too much.
Kara spiral et.
Kara tried to push Ethan away again. "You deserve someone nicer, someone easier, someone who doesn't come with drama." Ethan grabbed her hands. "Stop. I choose you." "Why?" she whispered.
I'm rude. I'm complicated. I'm.
"You're human," he said. "And I love you." The world seemed to freeze around her. "You love me?" she breathed. "With all my stupid heart." Kara burst into tears and kissed him. Deep, trembling, desperate. For the first time in her life, she didn't feel like too much. She felt chosen. With Ethan's support, Kara confronted Liam and cut him off for good. Then she rebuilt her life, new job, new friends, new confidence. She still had sharp edges. She still rolled her eyes too often. She still argued with customer service representatives. But she also learned to apologize. She learned to trust. She learned to let herself be loved, and to love back fiercely. Ethan often joked, "I fell for the rudest girl in the mall." And Kara responded, "Yeah, and you're stuck with me now." And honestly, he didn't want it any other way. Ethan barely slept that night. Every time he closed his eyes, he saw Kara in his hoodie, curled against him, small and soft and nothing like the spiky, sharp-tongued girl he had met at the mall. He kept replaying the moment she whispered, "Don't leave," and the way her fingers curled into his shirt like she was hanging on to him, not the other way around. By morning, the rain had stopped, but Kara was still asleep on his sofa, her hair messy, her breathing steady. For the first time since he met her, she looked peaceful. Ethan stood there, just watching her, trying to understand what was happening to him. He barely knew this girl, and yet every protective instinct in his body was awake and alive. Then Kara stirred. She blinked, confused at first, then groaned. "Ugh. Did I fall asleep here?" "Yeah." Ethan chuckled softly. "You were exhausted." She sat up too fast, winced, then pulled his hoodie tighter around her as if protecting herself. "I don't usually do this," she muttered. "Do what?" "Stay over at someone's place. Or trust someone." There it was, the wall cracking. Ethan walked to the kitchen. "Coffee?"
Kara nodded.
"Black."
No sugar.
He raised a brow. "Of course." As he brewed the coffee, Kara walked around the apartment slowly, almost nervously. "You live alone?" "Yeah. It's quiet." He smirked. "Trying to say I'm boring?" "No," she said softly. "It's nice." She accepted the coffee and held the mug with both hands, warming her fingers. Then, out of nowhere, she looked at him, really looked. "Why are you being so nice to me?" Kara asked. Ethan froze. "Because you deserve it. Because someone should care. Because I'm falling for you." He couldn't say any of that out loud. Instead, he shrugged. "Maybe I like you more than you think." Kara's eyes widened. Not with confidence, not with attitude, but with fear. Fear of being seen. Fear of being wanted. fear of caring back. Before she could respond, her phone rang. She checked the screen, and all warmth drained from her face. "It's my father," she whispered. Ethan frowned. "Something wrong?" "He doesn't like when I stay out," she said. "He tracks everything." There was something in her voice, something brittle. Ethan stepped closer. "Kara, if someone is hurting you—" "No!" she snapped, too fast, too defensive, then lowered her voice.
No.
"It's not like that. He's just strict." Ethan didn't believe her. Not completely, but he didn't push. She shoved his hoodie into his hands. "Thanks for everything," and she rushed out of the apartment before he could say another word. Ethan watched the door close. His chest ached, and he realized something terrifying. He wasn't just falling for this girl. He already had. Kara didn't sleep the night after she left Ethan's apartment. She sat on her bed with the lights off, her phone face down beside her, replaying everything in her mind. The way she broke down in the stairwell, the safety she felt in his arms, how she whispered "don't leave" without thinking, how Ethan looked at her like she was allowed to fall apart. And the worst part, the way her heart twisted when he said, "Maybe I like you more than you think." That was dangerous. No, that was terrifying. Kara Carter didn't let people in. Not ever. Not after everything she grew up with. So the next morning, she built the walls back up. Thick. High. Hard. She didn't text him. Didn't check her phone. Didn't even let herself think his name. But Ethan Hayes was the kind of man who didn't disappear just because she tried to push him away. Ethan tries to reach her. By afternoon, Ethan had sent 3 texts. "Ethan, made it home safe? Ethan, I'm here if you need anything. Ethan, Kara, at least tell me you're okay." She stared at the messages but didn't answer. Answering would mean admitting he mattered. Her chest tightened. She hated how much he already did. Around 7 p.m., a knock sounded on her apartment door.
Kara Froze.
No one ever came to check on her. No one ever worried about her. She opened the door hesitantly. Ethan stood there, hair tousled from running his hands through it, jacket half-zipped, worry written across his face. "Kara," he said quietly. "You disappeared." She kept her face cold. "Walls, walls, walls. I'm busy," she muttered. "You shouldn't have come." "Too bad," Ethan replied. "I wasn't going to sit and hope you were okay." She hated him for that, for caring when she didn't know how to handle care. She stepped aside reluctantly. Ethan walked in, eyes scanning her small apartment, then settling on her. "You didn't sleep," he said.
Kara Skoffet.
"Don't analyze me." "I don't need to analyze you," he replied. "You look like you've been fighting yourself all day." Her jaw clenched. "Ethan, whatever happened last night doesn't mean anything. I was emotional. I don't need. You don't need anyone," Ethan finished softly. "I know. You keep saying it." He walked closer. "Kara, look at me." She didn't want to, but she did. His eyes were gentle, warm, and way too sincere. "You can push me away for a day or two," Ethan said. "But I'm not going anywhere." Her breath hitched. "Why?" she whispered. "Because I care. More than I should. More than you think." Kara took a shaky step back. "I don't know how to do this," she confessed, voice small. "I don't know how to let someone in without ruining everything." "You don't have to know," Ethan said. "Just let me try." The silence stretched, heavy, intimate, terrifying. Then finally, Kara exhaled a breath she didn't know she'd been holding. "Okay," she whispered. It wasn't an agreement. Not fully. But it was the first opening in the walls she had spent years building. And Ethan Hayes stepped through it without hesitation. The next few days felt strange for Kara. Not bad. Not chaotic. Just unfamiliar. She wasn't used to waking up and seeing unread messages from someone who genuinely cared. She wasn't used to someone checking in, someone showing up, someone wanting her time without demanding anything in return. But Ethan Hayes was consistent. Every morning, "Ethan, good morning. Did you sleep?" Every afternoon, "Ethan, don't forget to eat something real today." Every night, "Ethan, I'm here if you want company. No pressure. He wasn't pushy. He wasn't clingy. He wasn't asking for anything. He was steady. And steady felt safer than she expected. On Friday evening, Kara knocked on Ethan's apartment door. A small, soft knock like she wasn't sure she should be there. Ethan opened it quickly, surprised. "Kara?" he said, a smile tugging at his mouth. "You actually came." She rolled her eyes. "Don't sound so shocked." He stepped aside, letting her in. She walked inside, hugging herself, clearly uncomfortable. Not because of him, but because she was unused to choosing someone voluntarily. "What's wrong?" Ethan asked gently.
Kara Sdalovet.
"I didn't want to be alone tonight," she admitted quietly. Ethan didn't make a big deal out of it. He didn't tease her or smirk or act triumphant. He simply said, "Then stay," and she did. They ordered takeout and watched a movie. Well, Ethan watched the movie. Kara spent half the time pretending not to stare at him. She hated how he made her feel warm, hated how she felt safe leaning into him, hated how comfortable silence suddenly felt between them. But the thing she hated most was how much she didn't actually hate any of it. Halfway through the movie, her head accidentally fell onto his shoulder. She jolted upright immediately. "Sorry." "It's okay," Ethan said softly. She tried to sit still, but after 20 minutes she leaned in again, this time on purpose. Ethan didn't move, didn't breathe too loudly, didn't ruin it. It was calm. It was warm. It was everything she didn't know she needed. Near the end of the night, Kara whispered something she hadn't planned. "My father came over yesterday." Ethan's body tensed instinctively. "Did something happen?" "Nothing physical," she said quickly. "He doesn't do that. But he controls everything. Always has. Even now." Ethan's jaw clenched.
Kara.
"He said I shouldn't trust people. That they all want something." "And what do I want?" Ethan asked quietly. She looked up at him. Her voice trembled. "I don't know. But you're the only one who makes me feel like I don't have to be perfect." Ethan touched her cheek gently, brushing back a stray strand of hair. "You don't have to be perfect," he whispered. "Not with me." Her eyes softened in a way he'd never seen before. Not angry, not guarded, not sarcastic. Soft, vulnerable. Kara breathed out slowly and rested her forehead against his chest. The closest thing to trust she'd ever given anyone. "Stay," she said. Ethan's arms wrapped around her instantly. "I'm not going anywhere." By the time Kara stepped out of her apartment that evening, her heart was beating a little too fast for her liking. She wasn't nervous. At least that's what she kept telling herself. But the moment she saw Ethan leaning casually against his car, hands in his pockets, wearing a dark coat over a fitted shirt, her breath actually stalled. He looked unfairly good. And judging by the small, knowing smile he gave when he saw her, he knew it. "You clean up nice," he said, his eyes lingering on her for a beat too long. Kara rolled her eyes, because rolling her eyes was safer than admitting the truth. She had changed her outfit 3 times. "Well, someone had to compensate for your lack of effort," she teased. Ethan laughed under his breath, shaking his head. "Get in the car, troublemaker." The ride was quiet but warm, the type of quiet that wasn't awkward. It was charged, comfortable, expectant. The restaurant he took her to wasn't loud or flashy. It was intimate, softly lit, the kind of place where conversations felt like secrets. "You brought me here so I won't yell at you in public, didn't you?" Kara muttered as they sat. "That is part of the strategy," Ethan admitted. "But mostly because I wanted you to myself for a while." Her cheeks warmed. She immediately hid behind the menu. He noticed. The dinner started out playful. Kara mocked the wine names. Ethan teased her for pretending to understand the menu descriptions. She called him a show-off when he pronounced something in French. He only smirked. Then the conversation shifted. "So," Ethan said quietly as the entree plates were taken away, "I meant what I said earlier. I don't want to lie to myself anymore. And I don't want to lie to you either." Kara's fingers curled around her glass. "About what?" "You. Us." His voice softened, losing its usual sharp edge. "I like you, Kara. I really, really like you. She didn't know what to do with the sudden thunderstorm inside her chest. That's not a smart idea, she whispered. Why not? Because I'm difficult, and annoying, and rude. You forgot dramatic, he added. She glared at him. He grinned. Then he leaned forward slightly, expression turning serious again.
Kara,
I don't care about any of that. You're real. You're honest. You say what you feel. And you make my life interesting. Kara stared at him, stunned. She wasn't used to people wanting her for her chaos. They usually wanted her despite it, not because of it. And what if I hurt you? She whispered. Ethan's eyes softened. Then I guess you'll be the first person I let close enough to try. Her heart flipped, completely and helplessly. For the first time that night, she looked at him without any sarcasm, without the walls she always kept up. Ethan, this is a bad idea, she repeated. But her voice wasn't steady anymore. Maybe, he agreed. Or maybe it's the best one we've had. Something electric passed between them then. Slow, quiet, and undeniable. The waiter returned with dessert. Kara didn't even look at the plate. Her whole attention was on Ethan. She didn't say yes. She didn't say no. But the silence between them, it wasn't a rejection. It was an opening, a beginning. The car ride back from the restaurant felt different from the one that brought them there. Before dinner, the air between them had been playful tension. Teasing, challenging, familiar. Now it was thick, quiet, charged. The kind of silence that felt like it was holding its breath, waiting for someone to make the first move. Kara kept stealing glances at Ethan. He kept doing the same. Every time their eyes met, one of them looked away too quickly. When he pulled up in front of her apartment building, neither of them reached for the door immediately. So, Kara said, staring straight ahead. So, Ethan repeated, watching her instead of the road. The streetlight cast a warm, golden glow across her face. He hated how beautiful she looked in that moment, because beautiful made things harder, riskier. Kara finally turned to him. About what you said earlier. Ethan tensed slightly, waiting. I'm not promising anything, she said, her voice softer than he'd ever heard it. But I'm not running either. A slow, hopeful smile touched his lips. That's more than I expected. Her eyes dropped to his mouth for half a second, half a reckless second, but it was enough for him to see it. Ethan shifted closer. Not too close, but enough that her heartbeat went wild. Kara, he murmured, his voice dropping into that low, unsteady tone she was beginning to recognize. Vulnerability wrapped in confidence. Yes, she whispered. If I kiss you right now, would you stop me? Silence. A dangerous one. Kara's breath hitched. She swallowed. Her fingers curled against her coat. I don't know, she admitted, her honesty trembling on the edge of a yes she was too scared to give. Ethan leaned in slowly, painfully slowly, giving her time to pull away. She didn't. Her eyes fluttered closed for a moment, and then, a voice echoed from the sidewalk.
Kara?
Is that you? She jerked back instantly, her heart crashing into her ribs.
Ethan frose, Joe tightening in pure frustration.
Standing a few steps away was her neighbor, Mrs. Hemsworth, the elderly woman who somehow knew every detail about everyone's life on the entire block. Oh my goodness, it is you, she said cheerfully, walking toward the car. And who is this handsome young man? Kara wanted the ground to swallow her alive. Ethan leaned back, clearing his throat and trying to act like he hadn't been a second away from kissing her. Evening, ma'am. Mrs. Hemsworth peered in through the open window with the enthusiasm of someone examining potential grandchildren. Kara, dear, you didn't tell me you had company. Kara forced a smile that looked like pain. Just heading in. Oh, don't let me stop you too. Young people shouldn't waste beautiful nights like this. Kara nearly choked. Ethan covered a laugh with a cough. After what felt like an eternity, Mrs. Hemsworth finally shuffled away, humming to herself.
Kara e halet lud.
Ethan looked over, amusement dancing in his eyes. Should I try again? He asked quietly. Her cheeks burned. Good night, Ethan. She opened the car door and hurried out before he could see her smile. But as she reached the entrance, she glanced back. Ethan was still there, watching her. He didn't wave. He didn't call out. He just looked at her like she had become his favorite complication. And for the first time, Kara didn't look away. She let him see it, the softness she usually hid. Just for a moment. Then she turned and disappeared inside. Ethan exhaled, leaning back in his seat, running a hand through his hair in pure disbelief. So damn close, he muttered to himself. But tonight wasn't an ending. Tonight was a shift. Turning point. Something between them had changed quietly, irrevocably. And they both felt it. Kara barely slept. She tossed. She turned. Every time she closed her eyes, she saw Ethan's face inches from hers, felt his breath on her lips, heard the way his voice dropped when he asked if she would stop him. And the worst part? She hadn't wanted to stop him. Not even a little. Stupid, she muttered into her pillow the next morning. Stupid, stupid, stupid. She dragged herself out of bed, showered, got dressed, and tried to pretend her heart wasn't misbehaving. By the time she walked into work, she had rehearsed 30 different versions of "We're still just friends" in her head. It didn't matter, because the moment she stepped into the office, her heart betrayed her completely. Ethan Hayes was standing near reception, talking to a woman. Not just any woman. Pretty woman. Tall, elegant, perfectly dressed in a pale blue blouse and fitted skirt. Her blonde hair pulled into a sleek twist. She stood close to him, too close, and laughed at something he said. Kara stopped. Cold. The laugh annoyed her instantly. Why was it so light, so polite, so feminine? Kara hated it. She absolutely hated it. Ethan glanced up, his eyes meeting Kara's across the lobby. Something flickered there. Surprise, warmth, that softness he only ever showed around her. But before he could say a word, the pretty woman turned, following his gaze. "Oh, is that her?" she asked, smiling brightly. "Her?" Kara blinked. The woman approached with her hand extended. "Hi, you must be Kara." Kara shook her hand slowly, confused. "Yes, and you are?" "Oh, I'm Claire." The woman beamed. "Ethan's date from last night." Kara's brain static buzzed. "His what?" Ethan practically choked. "Claire, I did not, that's not." Claire laughed again. "Relax, Ethan. We did go on a date. He just doesn't like calling it that." Kara's jaw tightened. Something hot and ugly flared in her chest. Jealousy. No, absolutely not. She refused to call it that. She preferred disgust, annoyance, emotional indigestion, anything except jealousy. "Well," Kara said sharply, forcing a smile. "Hope you had fun." "Oh, we did," Claire said, oblivious. "We had such a nice dinner. Ethan is charming, just like you said." Kara's head snapped toward Ethan. "You told her I said what?" Ethan looked like a malfunctioning robot. "Kara, can I please explain?" "No need." Kara cut in, voice too bright. "I'm sure your date speaks for itself." Without waiting, she walked past him, spine stiff, eyes forward. Ethan ran a hand through his hair in pure frustration. "Claire, why would you?" "She seemed jealous," Claire whispered, delighted by the drama. Ethan glared. "She wasn't jealous." Then he paused, defeated. She was absolutely jealous. She tried focusing on her work. Tried blocking out Claire's perfect face. Tried ignoring the fact that Ethan had never mentioned a date last night. But her mind kept spiraling. Why hadn't he said anything? Why did he almost kiss her if he was going on dates? Why did she care so much? She stared at her computer screen, her reflection faint in the glare. "I'm not jealous," she whispered. Her chest tightened. "I'm not." She shoved her keyboard away and buried her face in her hands. She absolutely was. Ethan marched to Kara's desk as soon as he broke free from Claire's chatter. "Kara, we need to talk." She didn't look at him. "I'm busy." "Kara, I am busy." He inhaled slowly, patient but barely. "I didn't go on a date with her." Kara's eyes narrowed. She said you did. She showed up. Unexpected. My mother sent her. That's not a date. Oh, her tone was flat. So it was a blind date. Ethan sighed loudly, leaning closer. Kara. Her jaw clenched. It doesn't matter. Obviously it does. It doesn't. Then why are you angry? I'm not angry. You're definitely angry. I'm not. He stared at her. She glared back. 10 seconds of pure tension passed between them. Then Ethan's lips twitched slightly. You're cute when you're jealous. Kara's entire soul caught fire. I am not jealous. Ethan stepped back, hands raised innocently. Of course not. But the smug smile said he absolutely knew. Kara grabbed the nearest object, a stapler, and threw it at him. He dodged, laughing. And despite herself, despite her irritation, her jealousy, her confusion, Kara felt her lips threatening to smile. Just a little. Just enough for Ethan Hayes to know this wasn't over. Not even close. Kara spent her lunch break hiding. Not physically hiding, that would be dramatic even for her, but emotionally. She stayed at her desk, earbuds in, pretending she wasn't replaying Ethan's voice saying you're cute when you're jealous on a humiliating loop. She wasn't going to apologize. She didn't know him anything, but her stomach had a different opinion, twisting every time she thought about his smile. When the clock hit 2 p.m., she sighed and finally left her desk to grab water from the break room. And of course, Ethan was there, leaning against the counter, waiting, because the universe clearly enjoyed bullying her. He straightened when she entered.
Kara.
No, she said immediately. He lifted an eyebrow. I haven't said anything. And you don't need to. Ethan pushed away from the counter, stopping in front of her. Close, but not too close. A respectful closeness, which somehow made it worse. I just came to explain, he said quietly. Claire wasn't a date. She was an ambush. My mother has been trying to throw women at me since I was 20. Kara swallowed, her voice surprisingly small. You could have told me. I tried to, he said. Yesterday. But then you tripped over a shoe display at the mall, got angry at the mannequin, and stormed out. Heat flooded her cheeks. That was one time. He smiled softly. One unforgettable time. She looked away. Whatever. It's fine. It clearly isn't.
Kara froze.
His voice wasn't teasing now. It was careful. Honest. Kara, Ethan said gently. I didn't want to go out with anyone else. Especially not when He stopped himself. Her chest tightened. When you what? He studied her, searching her face as though afraid to say the wrong thing. When I'm trying so hard not to mess things up with you, he finished. Kara's breath caught. The room suddenly felt too warm, too still. You're not messing things up, she whispered. Ethan exhaled, quiet relief flickering through his features. I'm sorry, he said, for the misunderstanding, for Claire, for letting you think I wanted someone else. Her eyes lifted slowly. And what do you want? His answer was instant. You. The single word knocked the air out of her lungs. He stepped closer, still giving her space to pull away, but she didn't move. Kara, he murmured. I know you're scared. His fingers brushed her hand, barely touching. And I'm scared too. But I don't want to keep pretending this is nothing. Her heartbeat stuttered. Ethan lowered his voice. I want to take you out on a real date. One you won't walk away from. Kara didn't reply. Her mouth opened, closed, opened again. Ethan smiled slowly. That's not a no. She shoved his shoulder. That's not a yes either. But it's closer. He held her gaze. And I'll take closer. The break room door swung open suddenly, and a coworker walked in. Kara jolted back. Ethan hid a grin. Think about it, he whispered. Then he walked out, leaving her standing there with her heart pounding like it wanted to escape her ribcage. Later that night, she lay in bed staring at the ceiling. Ethan wanted her. He actually wanted her. Not as a joke. Not because she was convenient. Not because he enjoyed annoying her, though he definitely did. He wanted her. And for the first time, She couldn't pretend she didn't want him to. Kara covered her face with a pillow and groaned. This man is going to ruin my life. But she was smiling, and that terrified her more than anything. Kara woke up the next morning feeling different, not happy, not exactly relaxed, more like someone who had spent the entire night arguing with her own heart and lost. She arrived at work earlier than usual, hoping to avoid Ethan. She failed. He was leaning against her desk, coffee in hand, like a man who had slept perfectly. "Good morning," he said warmly, handing her a cup.
Kara fronet.
"What's this?" "Vanilla latte. Extra foam. 1 sugar. You steal mine every morning, so I thought I'd save us both the trouble." Her heart tripped. "You remember my order?" "I remember everything about you," he said simply. Kara's breath hitched. "How am I supposed to ignore you?" she muttered. "When you talk like that?" "You're not," Ethan replied. Before she could come up with a comeback, he added, "I'm picking you up tonight." She blinked. "For what?" "Our date." "I didn't say yes. You didn't say no. That doesn't count." "It counts," he said confidently. Kara opened her mouth to argue, but the warmth in his eyes shut her up. "Dress comfortably," Ethan added as he walked away. "And wear sneakers. Trust me." Sneakers. Great. Now she was curious. Kara stood outside her apartment building, arms folded, trying to look indifferent. She failed immediately when Ethan pulled up in a sleek midnight blue car she didn't recognize. He stepped out wearing a fitted black jacket, white shirt, and that smile, the one that made her knees feel unreliable. "You look beautiful," he said.
Kara bilinket.
She was in leggings, a cropped hoodie, and clean sneakers. Hardly glamorous. "You're ridiculous," she muttered. "You're stunning," he corrected. Her cheeks betrayed her, turning pink. "Where are we going?" "You'll see." He opened the passenger door for her. She hesitated only a second, then got in. After 20 minutes of driving, Ethan parked near a large building with neon lights glowing softly across the pavement.
Kara suintet.
"Are we at an arcade?" Ethan grinned. "Yes." "An actual arcade?" "Yes." "With games? And loud noises? And sticky floors?" "Yes." Kara stared at him, utterly confused. "Why?" "Because," he said, "you like fun, but you try so hard to pretend you don't." Her lips parted. He led her inside. The place was alive. Bright machines, colorful lights, kids laughing, adults competing, music thumping. Instead of looking annoyed, Kara looked stunned and a little excited. "This is where I brought you for our first date," Ethan said. "Because if I took you to some fancy restaurant, you'd be too nervous to eat and pretending not to be." Kara narrowed her eyes. "You think you know me so well."
Ido.
He grabbed 2 game cards. "Prove me wrong." They played. Basketball hoops, Kara won by 4 points. Dance battle, Ethan lost miserably. Air hockey, they tied. Water gun racing, Ethan cheated, she claimed. Whack-a-mole, Kara destroyed him. By the time they stopped to breathe, Kara's cheeks were flushed. Her hair was messy, and she was laughing so hard her stomach hurt. "You're evil," she said, pointing at him. "You pushed my elbow during the basketball round." "I call it strategic interference," Ethan said innocently. "You cheated. You're competitive. You're worse." They both laughed. And for the first time ever, Ethan saw Kara truly relaxed.
No walls. No sarcasm.
Just joy. It hit him unexpectedly hard. "I like seeing you like this," he said quietly. Kara went still. Her smile faded, not in a bad way, but in a way that said she was absorbing the moment. She swallowed. I like being like this." His chest tightened. They ended the night beside a claw machine full of plush toys. Kara stared at a small white bunny inside. "You want it?" Ethan asked. "No," she said too quickly. He smirked. "So, yes. I didn't say yes. But you always stare at something you want before pretending you don't care." Kara crossed her arms, glaring. "That's not true." "It's extremely true." She opened her mouth, closed it. He was right. Ethan slid a coin into the machine. He tried once. Failed. Tried again. Failed harder. Kara laughed so hard she nearly fell. "You're terrible at this. This machine is rigged," he grumbled. "Or you're bad at it." He gave her a flat look. Then, on the third try, he won the bunny. He handed it to her with a small smile. Kara stared at it. At him. Something warm and dangerous bloomed in her chest. "Thank you," she whispered. "Anything for you," Ethan replied. He walked her to her building. The night air was cool. Their laughter had softened into a quiet, comfortable silence. At her door, she hesitated. Ethan did too. Their eyes met. He stepped closer. Slowly, carefully, like he was giving her time to pull away. She didn't. "Kara," he murmured. Her breath hitched. He lifted his hand, brushing her cheek with the backs of his fingers. Gentle, reverent. Her eyes fluttered closed. His forehead rested against hers. "Tell me to stop," he whispered. Kara's voice was barely a breath. "I don't want you to." His lips touched hers. Light, soft, testing. A question disguised as a kiss. She answered it by grabbing his jacket and pulling him closer. The kiss deepened, sweet, slow, warm. Nothing like the chaotic almost kisses before. This was real. This was intentional. This was everything they had been trying to avoid. When they finally pulled apart, they were both breathless.
Good night. Kara ethan whispered.
She smiled, small, shy, genuine. "Good night." She slipped inside before she lost her nerve, leaning back against the door with her hand over her pounding heart. He walked away with the same smile she wore. Neither of them slept well that night, for the best reasons. Ethan woke up the next morning feeling something he hadn't felt in years. Light, weightless, the kind of happiness that made him smile at nothing, stare into space, and replay the same moment. Kara pulling him closer over and over. He arrived at work unusually early, cleaned his already clean desk, organized files that didn't need organizing, and checked the clock every 2 minutes like a high school boy waiting to see his crush. At 8:59 a.m., he stood near the entrance. Subtle? No. Obvious? Extremely. When Kara finally walked in, he straightened like he'd been caught doing something illegal. She looked beautiful but different. Her usual confident stride was there, but her eyes darted away quickly, and she tugged at the sleeve of her sweater nervously. She was shy. Shy.
Kara.
He loved it way too much. "Morning," he said softly. Her cheeks flushed. "Morning." He smiled. She looked away again, the bunny plush hidden halfway in her bag. Her voice was barely audible. "About last night." Ethan's heart stopped. She cleared her throat. "We should talk." Oh no, not that sentence. Not the "we should talk" sentence. He tried to keep his voice steady. "Okay, talk." "Not here," she said. "Later." His stomach twisted. "Is something wrong?" he asked carefully. She hesitated longer than he liked, then shook her head.
No.
"I just need to think." Ethan nodded, even though worry clawed at his chest. Kara needing time could mean anything, which was exactly why it terrified him. She was a disaster. A complete disaster. She had kissed Ethan. Not a small kiss. Not a polite kiss. A real, heart-racing, breath-stealing kiss. The kind you feel the next day. And she hadn't stopped it. She hadn't pushed him away. She hadn't even hesitated. Kara had dragged him closer. She still felt the warmth of his lips, the gentleness of his hands, the way he whispered her name. She slapped her cheeks in the bathroom mirror.
No.
No falling for him. That's how people die in movies. Except she already knew she was falling. Already slipping. Already gone. That was the terrifying part. She wasn't used to soft things. She wasn't used to someone wanting her, really wanting her. She was used to anger, sarcasm, stubbornness. Not tenderness. Not sincerity. Not Ethan Hayes looking at her like she mattered. So she needed time. Time to breathe. Time to think. Time to not make herself completely vulnerable. Even if part of her didn't want to think at all. Ethan found her after lunch on the rooftop terrace, where she often went to escape chaos. She was sitting alone, knees pulled up, hugging the bunny plush in secret. He approached slowly. "Can I join you?" he asked gently. Kara nodded, staring ahead. Ethan sat beside her, careful not to touch her unless she wanted him to. She took a deep breath. "Ethan, what are we doing?" He swallowed. "I was hoping you'd tell me." She shot him a flat look. "Don't do that." "Do what?" "Deflect." He sighed. "Okay. Then I'll be honest." She glanced at him. He held her gaze. "I like you," he said simply. "More than I've liked anyone in a long time." Her heartbeat stuttered. "I want to take you out again. I want to kiss you again. I want to learn everything about you. What scares you? What makes you laugh? What makes you glare at me like you're doing right now?" Kara's glare softened. "But," Ethan continued, tone gentle, "I don't want to rush you. And I don't want to scare you away." Kara squeezed the bunny. "I'm not scared of you." "No?" he teased lightly. "I'm scared of—" She searched for the word. "This. Us." She nodded. Ethan shifted slightly closer. Not touching her, just near enough that she felt the warmth. "Kara," he murmured. "Falling for someone is always scary, but you don't have to do it alone." Her eyes flickered with emotion. He brushed a strand of hair from her face, slow and patient. "I'm not asking you to give me everything," he said softly. "Just trust me, even a little." Kara didn't speak. Instead, she leaned her head against his shoulder. Slowly, hesitantly, as if expecting him to flinch. He didn't. He went absolutely still, then relaxed, turning his head slightly to breathe her in. Her voice was quiet. "I don't want to lose myself." "You won't," he whispered. "I don't want to change you. I just want to be in your life." The rooftop was silent for a long moment. Finally, Kara exhaled. "Okay." Ethan blinked. "Okay. Okay," she repeated, turning her face into his shoulder. "We can try." Relief hit him so hard he laughed under his breath. Kara shoved him lightly. "Don't act like you just won a lottery." "Sorry," he whispered, smiling. "But it feels like I did." She rolled her eyes, but she didn't move away. They stayed like that, quiet, close, peaceful, until the wind grew colder and the city lights glittered beneath them. For the first time, Kara didn't feel scared. She felt safe. And Ethan felt like he finally had something he didn't want to lose. Kara didn't sleep that night. She lay awake, staring at the ceiling in the quiet darkness of her apartment, replaying everything, Ethan's arms around her, his steady voice, the way he had looked at her like she mattered, like she wasn't just another difficult girl pushing the world away. For the first time in a long time, letting someone in felt possible. Terrifying, but possible. By morning, her chest was tight with a mixture of excitement and panic. She checked her phone, no message from Ethan yet. It was still early. He was probably asleep. But her mind didn't stop whispering. What if this becomes too real? What if he gets tired of you? What if you mess it up like everything else? She shook the thoughts away, made coffee, then paced her apartment for almost an hour before giving up entirely and going out for a walk. Ethan arrived at work with something rare on his face, an unguarded smile. His assistant, Noel, noticed immediately. "Good morning, sir," Noel said slowly, eyebrows raised. "You look unusually happy today." Ethan didn't deny it. "It's just a good day." Noel blinked like he'd seen a ghost. "I'll update the team." But as soon as Ethan settled into his office, the weight of what he felt for Kara hit him harder. He wanted her in his life, for real, not just as the girl he was falling for, but as someone he would protect, fight for, choose every time. He reached for his phone, typing, "Ethan, lunch later? I want to see you." He hesitated for only a second before hitting send. The message buzzed in Kara's hand as she stepped back inside. Her heart flipped. She stared at the screen far too long before typing back.
Kara. Okay.
"Where?" "Ethan. I'll pick you up." She inhaled sharply. Pick her up? Like a date? Her nerves tangled into 1,000 knots. Still, she got ready. Denim jeans, a white top, hair brushed out but not overly styled. Natural but pretty. She stared in the mirror for a moment, whispering, "Don't overthink. Just breathe." Ethan arrived exactly on time. When Kara stepped out of her building, his eyes softened instantly. "You look beautiful." She flushed, looking away. "Don't start." He laughed softly. Noted, but still true. They drove to a quiet Italian restaurant, small, cozy, with warm lighting and the soft smell of herbs in the air. The moment they were seated, Kara noticed something different in Ethan. He was calm but serious, as if he had something on his mind. "What's wrong?" she asked. "Nothing's wrong," he said gently. "I just want to talk. Honest talk."
Kara tensed.
"About what?" Ethan leaned forward slightly, his voice low and steady. "About us." Her stomach flipped. "Kara, I know you're scared. I know you don't trust easily. But I'm not going anywhere. Not unless you tell me to." She swallowed, her throat suddenly tight. "I don't want you to go," she whispered. "Then let me stay." Her eyes stung unexpectedly. "Ethan, I don't want to disappoint you." "You won't," he said immediately. "I don't need perfect. I just need real." Kara looked down, her voice fragile. "I don't know how to do this relationship thing." "That's okay," Ethan said. "We'll figure it out together." Something warm and painful bloomed in her chest. Hope steady and terrifying. She looked up at him, breath unsteady. "Ethan." "Yes. Don't give up on me." His smile was soft, full of quiet certainty. "Never." And with those words, something inside Kara finally loosened, like a knot that had been tied for years slowly beginning to untangle. The days after their lunch together felt different. Lighter for Ethan, heavier and confusing for Kara. Ethan walked around with a quiet glow in his chest, replaying Kara's trembling whisper, "Don't give up on me." He held onto it like a promise. But for Kara, vulnerability came with an aftershock. Every time she remembered Ethan's soft eyes and gentle words, her stomach twisted. Part of her wanted to lean into him completely. Another part wanted to run before she messed anything up. She had never been someone's priority before. It was overwhelming. Ethan and Kara hadn't told anyone about their growing closeness. Still, people noticed something subtle but undeniable. Ethan was more focused, oddly calm, and occasionally smiling to himself like a man with a secret. Noel noticed. His head of HR noticed. Even the interns whispered. But Kara? She did her best to act normal. Or as normal as she could. When she walked into a meeting Ethan was leading, their eyes met and locked for a second too long. She looked away immediately, cheeks heating. Noel's eyebrows shot up. After the meeting, he cornered Ethan outside the conference room. "Sir, with all due respect, what's going on?" Ethan exhaled slowly. "It's complicated." Noel crossed his arms. "You're smiling too much for complicated." Ethan couldn't help a small laugh. "Drop it." That evening, Kara sat curled up on her couch, hugging a pillow. She had spent the whole day thinking about Ethan. His voice, his steadiness, the way he made her feel like she mattered. But she also thought about her past. The relationships she never allowed. The people she pushed away first so they couldn't hurt her. The father who walked out. The mother who stayed but barely noticed her. Love had always felt like a risk she wasn't strong enough to take. Her phone buzzed. "Ethan, I hope you made it home safe." She stared at the message for almost a minute before replying. "Kara, yes. You?" "Ethan, just finished work. Can I call you?"
Kara hesitated.
A phone call felt intimate, too real. But she typed.
Kara, okay.
When she answered, Ethan's voice was soft, filled with warmth she wasn't used to. "E." Her heart did a strange, slow flip. "E. How are you feeling?" he asked.
Kara frowned.
"Why do you always ask me that?" "Because I care," he answered simply. Her breath caught. "Oh." There was a quiet moment between them, gentle, tender, unhurried. "Kara," Ethan began, "I don't want to rush anything. I don't want to push you. I just want you to know I'm here." Kara closed her eyes, her voice barely a whisper. "Why me, Ethan?" He didn't hesitate. Because you're stronger than you think. Because you're real. Because you challenge me. Because you make me feel alive. A pause. And because I like you. Deeply. Kara felt her chest ache at the honesty in his voice. She whispered, I like you too. I'm just scared. It's okay to be scared, he said gently. Just don't run. Not from this. Not from us. Something warm spread through her. Fear, yes, but also something steadier. Like trust. Good night, Kara, he murmured. Good night, Ethan. They stayed on the line for a few seconds after neither said anything, just listening to each other breathe. And for Kara, who had always felt alone, even in a crowd, that tiny moment of shared silence meant more than any declaration. It meant she wasn't alone anymore. The next few days were a roller coaster for Kara. Some moments, she felt warm and hopeful. Others, she panicked, convinced she was going to ruin everything. Ethan checked on her regularly. Not clingy, not pushy, just present. But that made things worse in Kara's head. Why does he care this much? What does he want from me? Her thoughts spiraled. The breaking point came on a Friday afternoon. Kara had a stressful day at work. Clients complaining, deadlines moved, her nerves stretched thin. When Ethan passed by her desk to check on her, she snapped without meaning to. What? What is it? Why are you always hovering? Ethan froze. His expression shifted, hurt, but calm. I wasn't hovering. I just wanted to make sure you were okay. Well, I'm fine, Kara said sharply. You don't have to keep checking on me. Ethan exhaled slowly. Kara, talk to me. What's wrong? Nothing, she muttered, grabbing her bag. I need space. And she walked away. Ethan didn't follow. But the pain in his eyes stayed with her long after she left. That night, Kara lay awake staring at her ceiling. Why did she push him? Why did she get scared every time someone got close? By 1 a.m., frustration and guilt were eating her alive. She grabbed her jacket and walked outside, pacing the quiet street. She missed him. She wanted him. She was terrified of losing him. Her phone buzzed. Ethan, I hope you're okay. I'm here when you're ready. Kara felt tears sting her eyes. Why was he so patient? Why wasn't he angry? For the first time in her life, she wasn't dealing with a man who played games. Ethan Hayes truly cared. And that scared her more than anything. The next morning, Kara showed up at Ethan's apartment building. She hadn't warned him. She barely knew what she wanted to say. When he opened the door, his hair was messy, his eyes tired. Like he hadn't slept much either.
Kara.
She swallowed hard.
I'm sorry.
Ethan stepped aside, letting her inside without argument. She stood in the middle of his living room, trembling slightly. I don't know how to do this, she whispered.
I'm scared.
You're important to me, and that makes everything harder. Every time you get close, it's like my brain screams to run. Ethan walked toward her slowly. Kara, look at me. She met his eyes. You don't ever have to pretend with me. Not strong. Not perfect. Not unbothered. Just be honest. Her voice cracked. I don't want to lose you. He gently cupped her face. You won't. Not unless you push me away for good. Tears spilled down her cheeks. Ethan wiped them with his thumb. Let me in. Just a little. And for the first time, she did. She leaned into him and cried, really cried, and Ethan held her the way she'd always deserved to be held. After that day, things changed. Ethan didn't rush her. Kara didn't run. They talked more, about fears, past hurts, love, and the future. Some days, Kara was still scared. But Ethan stayed steady. He became her anchor, and slowly she learned to trust. At work, their connection softened Kara's edges. Coworkers noticed she smiled more, snapped less. Noelle joked one day, whatever spell the boss put on you, it's working. Kara rolled her eyes. Ethan smirked from across the room. They were becoming something real, something solid. Ethan planned a weekend getaway. Something quiet, peaceful, away from the noise of the city. He didn't tell Kara where they were going, only that she should pack warm clothes. They drove for hours until they reached a lakeside cabin surrounded by tall pines and soft snow beginning to fall. Kara stepped out of the car, breath-catching. Ethan, this is beautiful. He brushed a strand of hair from her cheek. I wanted you to have a place to breathe, and she did. The weekend was filled with soft moments. Cooking together, watching movies under a blanket, long walks beside the lake, quiet conversations, a kiss in the cold air that felt like something out of a dream. Kara had never felt so safe. On their last night at the cabin, snow falling gently outside, Kara lay with her head on Ethan's chest, listening to his heartbeat. She whispered, "Why do you care so much about me?" Ethan kissed her forehead. "Because loving you doesn't feel like a choice. Feels like breathing."
Kara froze.
"Love," he said, "love." Ethan realized too late what he'd admitted. He tensed slightly, waiting for her to panic. But Kara didn't. Instead, she took his hand and placed it over her heart. "I think I love you too," she whispered. Ethan's breath hitched. He pulled back just enough to see her face. "Kara, don't say it unless you mean it." She smiled, soft, vulnerable, real. "I mean it." And when he kissed her again, it felt like a beginning. Their relationship blossomed after that. Not perfect, not without hard days, but real. Kara met Ethan's sister. Ethan helped Kara reconnect with her mother. They shared holidays, arguments, laughter, fears, dreams. Kara grew. Ethan softened. Together, they built something neither had ever experienced: healthy, steady love. People at the office eventually found out, but by then, no one was surprised. They fit. One evening, a year after they met, Ethan brought Kara back to the mall, the place where everything started. They walked through the hallways, laughing about their first argument at the perfume counter, until Ethan stopped in the exact spot they met. "Kara," he said, voice low, "I never believed in fate. Not until the day you yelled at me for bumping into you." She laughed softly, shaking her head. Ethan took her hands. "I want a life with you. All of it. The good days, the difficult ones, the moments you're scared, and the ones you're brave. You're my person." Kara's eyes softened. "And you're mine." Ethan leaned forward and kissed her. Right there in the mall, like the world had come full circle. When they pulled apart, Kara whispered, "Thank you for not giving up on me." "Never," he said. And with the mall lights glowing around them, Kara Hayes realized something she never thought she would. Love had found her, stayed with her, and chosen her exactly as she was.